The short term looks dry and hot, but the long term trends are looking better. We'll get into it right after this. A select few of you got a little bit of rain last night. Sounds like the most significant rain out of any of it was from about Cedar Hill over towards Lancaster and Red Oak, and then over maybe into Johnson County, though it was hard to tell how much of what of the echoes we were seeing on radar were rain versus maybe some dust and things blowing around in the winds of that outflow boundary. But either way, a few of you got rain, and while it's not a big change in the short term, it's just a kind of a nice rare event, it does bode well for the long term. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Right now, let's look back at temperatures: 112, 110, and 112 back in 1936. And those are more heat index numbers. We're not quite there in terms of the air temperatures. We're closer to that record of 106 in Waxahachie back in 2015. And yes, our normal temperature is still 97 degrees. That will change next week, so you'll have to be watching next week for that update. 105, 106 across our area today, and we're looking at heat index values of up to 110, 112. Some are saying closer to 115. I'm not sure if we'll quite get there, but yeah, 110, 112, which is right around where we expect it to be with the pattern that we see going on right now. Overnight tonight, 82 degrees, again, across our area, 82, 83 for our lows tonight. And yes, we look at everybody under the excessive heat warning, and again, 110 heat index, 105 air temperature. We're getting both of those today. So, not a great day to be out in the heat today. The fire risk, we do need to talk about this. It has shifted westward. Yesterday, some of us were critical, but this has shifted westward now, and I will say that the higher humidity does help with this some, but the winds don't help much. So we're still in our area considered to be under a pretty serious fire risk. It's just the fire weather risk has been moved westward. And the nice thing is there's not a critical risk area. It's just elevated. So that's at least something. Tomorrow shifts a little further northward, and the humidity continues, but yes, we do see that shift just ever so slightly eastward into Johnson County there. But as a reminder, red flag warnings do continue at this point mostly to our western counties, not really covering our eastern counties here, although I will say that I got reports of 2 smaller fires in the Waxahachie area this morning, so don't discount it. If you're not under a red flag warning here, don't assume that somehow you're not under that fire risk. You absolutely are. All of us are. And that is why, again, I'm just going to keep posting these every day until they're gone. These burn bans continue across our area. So the big picture, there's not much going on right now. We still have the high pressure here that's been our buddy and our friend for the longest time. And the front that's here, there are some this morning that are saying we could see a shower thunderstorm along this front. I'm not counting on it. I'm not putting rain into the forecast, and really I think that if we do see anything, it's going to be up along the Red River. We will be looking ahead to another front, though. Looks like Monday, Tuesday range will have a cold front that will briefly make it through. I will say both the European and GFS models have the front moving at least as far south as Waxahachie and Cleburne, possibly down to Corsicana and Hillsborough. They're giving it a pretty decent shot of actually giving us some north winds, at least for a while, and I'm talking maybe half a day. So not much, but we will take it. And I mentioned at the start of this that this is indicative of better trends. These fronts are getting a little more successful, and we notice that there's more of them all of a sudden, and that they're getting closer to us, and we're having a little bit more success. So what this shows me is that the high pressure is starting to kind of get pushed around a little bit, and yes, the fronts are having a little more success coming in. As the Earth tilts, and we'll talk about this in the Weather FAQ segment coming out tomorrow, but as the Earth tilts and our season changes, that's going to change our patterns, and you put on El Nino on top of that, and it's only a matter of time. Again, tune into that weather FAQ segment tomorrow to get the details on that. So let's look at the forecast here, and I still haven't gotten rid of that blue screen there. Really, nothing different this week. I mean, it's just, in the short term, we're just staying miserable. Breezy winds out of the southwest persist along with our 105, 106, 107 degree temperatures. And the humidity, yes, is a little higher, so we will be looking at those heat index values of 109 to 112 for our area. I think that's about where we top out. We may see 113 to 115 a couple of these days, but I do think we stay closer to 110, 112. I think 115 might be pushing it. But as we get into the next week, we do have this front here. Now, I have Tuesday at 102, Wednesday right back at 105. So this is, again, one of these things where the front will come through, will feel better maybe for a day, but then it will lift back up northward as a warm front. But again, we've got cold fronts coming in. We haven't had one of those in a while, and we've had like 2 or 3 of them recently. So just keep in mind, these cold fronts are starting to push the envelope. So the trends are looking in the right direction. The fronts are not really dominating yet. They're not enough to really end this trend, but it's enough at least to start showing us that change is on the way. So stay tuned. I will be watching the forecast on this front. If we can now say that the models are pulling it through our area, maybe pulling it south of I-20, maybe they can push it a little more. We'll have to wait and see. This looks more bold than the last one, and the last one actually gave a couple of us a little bit of a drop of rain. So I'll be watching for the chance of showers and thunderstorms as well, but just keep in mind that we're not quite there yet. The rest of this week and this weekend will be pretty warm and dry and windy and all the things that we do not need right now. So stay tuned for not only tomorrow's weather FAQ segment, which I do think you will enjoy, but the forecast. Watch for these little subtle changes that will eventually amount to the big pattern shift we're all waiting for.